Before the break, we heard from Andre Crockett and Bud Whitehorn regarding the community bridge building efforts underway locally between law enforcement, community leaders, and now local churches. Police Chief Jim Franklin is an integral part of this discussion and was at today's panel. He was part of that panel, an important part. As we talk about the things that were happening today, Chief Franklin, explain kind of your takeaway from everything that was said, questions that were asked, and how important this was.
Well, what we did today was really reflecting the fact that we're coming together in a collaborative manner, trying to paint our shared values for this community. Coming together with faith-based organizations today, which is one part of the picture here in making this a better a community, a safer community for everyone. It's one of the layers to the approach that we're taking to providing the highest level of public safety to this community. And so it was a good conversation, a tough conversation, but from what I saw, I left very hopeful that everybody wants to help and get involved.
How important is the faith community in this discussion? Because today, a lot of different pastors, dozens and dozens of pastors were there.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that when we look at everything that's going on right now in reference to community relationships with policing, that we've got to get to the root cause of the issues here, and that the root cause is getting to a community-based approach, and that means utilizing all your social service agencies, your faith-based organizations, your government agencies, all coming together collectively to help solve root cause problems of what's causing conflict between the police and the community. And so it's a layer of that approach, but it's a very important layer.
We've talked about this in other interviews over the past several months, but you really should be commended because even before the death of George Floyd, Chief, you have been in talks with different parts of the community since you've been in your position in order to make sure that there is a transparency, a collaboration, a bigger kind of think tank of how to make things better.
Yeah, that's just truly a reflection of the fact that, going back to, there is a social contract between the police and the community that we serve, and that the police are the community and the community is the police. That was the premise behind Safe City Nights, of getting in front of as many of our community members as we can and just saying, this is your police department. The community liaison program that we're working on right now is a reflection of being willing to sit down and have those hard conversations and saying, how can we do better in law enforcement? How can we increase that community engagement, community connectedness, and then leveraging the community members that want to be part of this process and say, come to the table with us or get us to the table so that we can reach the marginalized community that we're not able to get to on our own.
I hope that I can bring up something that was said today. You mentioned that it's one thing to hold a police event and invite different segments of different neighborhoods, but it's altogether different to be invited by a certain neighborhood or a certain community, or to get into neighborhoods where otherwise you wouldn't be invited. I thought that was important.
Yeah, one of the of 21st century policing is really highlighting the fact that if you think about it, law enforcement only has contact with the public in times of crisis or in times of enforcement. We've got to tear down some of those barriers that sometimes exist because of that and just because of the nature of our job, and that is engaging the community in times of non-crisis and non-enforcement. And that's what community engagement, community-oriented policing is all about, which we prescribe to. But what has also kind of come to light here recently due to conversations that we've had is you can host a community event, but there still might be a segment of your population, your community, that doesn't feel comfortable attending your event. So out of the community liaison program that we have built, part of the concept or premise is, all right, you host the event and invite us and we will show up, but it's more or less your event and we're coming to your event, kind of coming to you, if you will, and meeting you on your ground in an environment that you feel safe in. Again, it's another approach to community-oriented policing that we're very much invested in.
Lawmakers last night passed some sweeping legislation. I'm not going to ask you about your thoughts on that. I bring it up only because other cities, other communities around the metro area could look to Rochester. I hope in the future they do, to see what is being done right. I commend you. I'm at a lot of these meetings. I cover them in the news, and I just wanted to say thank you